Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a character guide on Basch. Now, Basch is a very interesting tank character. He's a character that I really liked on release, and then as he kept coming back, I kind of didn't use him as much because I liked other tanks better, but I think Basch is actually a very good tank. He really specializes in AoE tanking, so if you're doing really tough, aggressive bosses that do a lot of AoE attacks, he can really help neutralize the damage there. So in this video, we're going to take a look at his calls, look at his best artifacts, look at his best spheres, and then we're going to go ahead and hop into a showcase and kind of explain how he works. So his calls, I would say I personally probably have underrated his calls. His calls are ones that I personally haven't used a lot, but after actually looking at what they do, they're actually very good calls, and calls that I feel like I should be using more often, right? So his normal call here, Fulminating Darkness, basically it's going to do damage, right, which is fine. But the big thing is it actually is going to do brave damage taken down 40%, which is pretty good, and then it is going to provide a lock. And lock calls are very useful in this game because there are some characters that are evasion tanks or want to get hit, but they don't have lock. Or a really good example of a character that can utilize lock is Freya and Kain. Freya and Kain, they jump up in the air and they basically can't be hit. So if they lock the enemies onto them, the enemies are just going to keep whiffing at air, right? And my go-to for lock was always Celis, and Celis is a very good lock call as well. But I didn't even realize Basch was a lock call. So just for the lock alone, he's good. He's worth using, right? But then the other things you're getting are just a bonus. So if you're locking with Kain, the brave damage down won't matter. But if you're locking with a different type of tank character, reducing the damage can be pretty good. And then the LD call here, which is Indomitable Palicide, basically is going to do brave damage taken down 60%. It's going to do party brave regen, which is very good. And it also heals the party. And it locks. So I have also talked about how having healing calls is very useful because in a Shinryu fight, the worst thing that can happen is if a boss ticks you for some HP damage right at the end, and you go below the HP requirement and you need to heal quick. So Basch is very good because you get on-demand heals, you have lock if there's a good character that can warrant that lock, and you're getting some brave damage down. So I think it's very, very good. It's very, very solid call. Now, should you go out and summon Basch just for the call? Probably not. Because with this base call, you still get lock, right? So if you don't have any lock calls and you want one, you don't have to have his LD. Just use that base call and you can at least have one lock, right? So call's actually very solid on him. Let's go ahead and look at his artifacts and then his spheres. So for his artifacts, we'll hop in here. So what you want to do for artifacts is go, most people would recommend attack 108, max brave 330. But I actually like attack 108 C50. He has a very unique C50. So I'm an HP guy. I like making my units really big and fat and tanky. So his C50 gives him 15% max HP up. So if you have 3 of those on, he's getting, 45% max HP. It's going to make him a tanky boy and even harder to kill. Now, you could argue that the way his kit works, he doesn't need a ton of HP. He basically becomes unkillable in the right setups. But I think this is very notable if you're running Lena. Because Lena is a character who scales based on party, her damage scales based on party HP. So you could do some crazy HP comps with Gladio, who's coming out soon. He also has a C50 that does a ton of HP buffing. So if you have Basch, Gladio, and Lena, now I don't know if they're going to get through a lot of Shinryu fights, but just an example of a team comp where you have a ton of HP in the team, Lena is going to be putting up some pretty good work, right? And there are other characters too that do things scaled on HP, but I just like my guy to be a tanky boy. But if you don't care about the HP, then yeah, just do an attack 108 max brave 330 there, and I think you'll be good to go. So we've got that there. So let's go ahead and look at the spheres next. So he's got an A, a B, and a C slot, so a little bit of everything, right? So on the A slot for Basch, pretty much attack and brave damage. Because what Basch does is he does a lot of battery that scales on his HP damage, and the best way to increase your HP damage is through attack and brave damage. So Jack would probably be one of the better calls because it is attack and brave damage on the same sphere. I might have said call, sorry. Jack is one of the best spheres. to put on him because you get attack and brave damage. He doesn't do weakness damage, so you can't put Rydia there. But just look through your box. You're going to have tons of attack or brave damage. Like, so I just had an extra Fang laying around. So that's just an attack up when you break or attack a broken target. Very easy to trigger, right? Now, on the B slot, a lot of the B spheres will trigger like when you take HP damage, and Basch is meant to take HP damage. So any of those HP damage conditions are good. Now his own, hands down, is probably his best. You get a fat 20% attack up when he takes HP damage. I think that is the single highest attack up you can get on a call in the game. So if you really like Basch, you can definitely throw that on there. And I don't think I would just put Basch's B-Sphere on any character because it's such a big attack. You definitely want to put it on a tank because it's someone that's going to have lock, someone that's going to be targeting. The reason why this is so good on Basch, and he probably is the best fit on it, is that the way his kit works is if the party takes HP damage, like an AoE HP damage, he basically takes all the party's HP damage and puts it on himself instead. So your party won't take any HP damage on all attacks, just he does. And since he's meant to basically soak up all your HP damage, this is really the premium call. So I would say just go his own. If you just upgraded Basch, you're going to have this from his EX and you like him, just throw his own on him. He's probably the best character for it, to be honest, or one of the best, right? I'm sure you could argue other tanks would also be good, but I really like Basch on that one. And then on the C slot, you want to focus on attack here. I would say attack or battery. There's two routes. So I went battery route partially because I have more battery spheres than I have attack spheres for C slot. So like Charlotta and Arciella are probably your good choices if you want to do a battery C slot. Otherwise for attack you want Alphinaud or Maria, which are very common. And he does heal. So Maria does definitely work on him. He's got healing in his kit, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into a showcase. Now, I'm actually going to hop into the current Lufenia, because this Ultimecia boss likes to like jump turns and spam a bunch of attacks. So I'm hoping we can get her to do some all attacks, where we can see Basch kind of demonstrate what he needs to do here, right? So let's go ahead and just hop in. We've got Rem to help him get more turns just to show him off. Luna Freya just to make him look good. I would say Basch is definitely, he's like meant to be like a slow character that just is meant to sit there and tank for you. So I'd say let him be slow, and he's like a good candidate for the heavy prayer buff, right? Just to do more damage. You probably don't want to use the quick buff on him, the quick prayer on him. Okay, so basically what we're going to do with Basch is I like opening with the LD. He gets a lot of power out of the LD. And basically, through his Kingdom Shield buff, which he gets from his 15, and from his, and he also gets it on his LD, but then his LD has an Indomitable buff, which basically the Kingdom Shield with the Indomitable buff combined pretty much make him unkillable. So we'll go ahead and explain that. All right, so Ultimecia, go ahead and do your thing there. Yeah, she's already attacking right out the gate. Actually got a miss there. Wasn't an HP attack. All right, this should be an HP attack. And Basch should have his stuff up right away. Oh, he doesn't. Shoot. So she just instant killed. Hold on. I'm just going to restart because all I need to do is get Basch a turn. Like, we just need to get Basch a turn before Ultimecia does all that. I don't know. Is she just auto going to do that every time? Like, can this team comp just not even get through? I just need to be able to get Basch a turn. Okay, Basch is up right away. So hopefully she doesn't just like... So she's just going to do this right away, huh? This is unfortunate. She's just going to do this and then go right into the thing again. Okay. Good, so we didn't get broken, we get a turn. All right, this is going to be perfect, because Ultimecia's all attack is going to show exactly why Basch is so good. So you saw how we didn't even get a turn and we instant died. Okay, that's why some of these fights can be tough. Basch is going to heavily neutralize that. So let's go ahead and start with the LD. This is definitely what makes this guy gel. So this is going to be a big AoE attack. I kind of want to see the damage here. Oh yeah, that's decent damage, 400k AoE. So let me explain what we just got out of all of that, okay? So it did do a party battery, and the battery scaled on HP damage. So once again, this is why attack and brave damage is important to help his party battery. This also is his main party heal. Now he has other heals in his kit, but they're only going to heal himself, but this is a party heal. So that's very nice as well. And the thing with his heals, some of his heals do scale off of HP as well, which is a reason why you might want to do that C50 and give him more HP. So that can help. But he gets the Indomitable buff. He gets Kingdom Shield, and he gets HP Damage Resist. So, HP Damage Resist and Kingdom Shield, he also gets that from his 15. So let me explain those first. HP damage resist basically makes it so his HP damage taken is reduced by 60%. That's fantastic, right? So he could take an attack that would way overkill him, and it won't, even if he didn't have his other buffs protecting him. Now, Kingdom Shield is very good because that does another Brave damage taken 60%. So with both of those on, he's getting HP damage and Brave damage minus 60%, which is pretty big. And then this also gives him Last Stand. So for those of you unfamiliar with Last Stand, it basically means if you're above 50% health, if you were to take lethal damage, you're left with 1 HP remaining, right? So he's got Last Stand. And then the big thing that Kingdom Shield does is any HP damage directed to the party will get redirected to him, which this is very powerful now because all that HP damage, you'd think, oh, taking the entire party's worth of damage, he would instant die, but he's reducing it by 60%, and he's got Last Stand in case it is still lethal. Now, on top of that, the LD is specifically giving him Indomitable. So Indomitable is a really packed buff. So basically the LD, you just want to watch his Indomitable buff and do not let that run out. If that's at 1, you want to pop the LD again because you want to keep that going. Unless you know that like you're in a safe part of the fight and you're not going to need it. But if you know you're going to need that defense, you want that Indomitable up. So it gives him attack up, Brave damage up, HP damage up, Overflow Stolen up. And then when he takes HP damage that drops below 50%, it auto heals him back to 50%. This is very similar to like what Lock does, right? Which is very cool. And it does party defense up and Brave regen. Now, the reason why this combo is insane is that he's got Last Stand, right? So if he gets hit for mega lethal damage, even with his HP damage reduction, you know, that he has, right? Let's say he takes mega lethal damage, his Last Stand triggers, puts him to 1. Well, now Indomitable is going to shoot him up to 50%. So if you have Kingdom Shield and Indomitable up, he literally cannot go below 50%. And what that does is it always ensures that his Last Stand is active and he basically can't die. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of, the one time that this doesn't work, is if there's HP poison effects in play. So if he's getting ticked for HP poison, or you have a character like Vivi that like deducts your party's HP when he does stuff, that can kind of mess you up. I know my phone's low, but we're going to get through the showcase. We almost got it. This is me when I'm grinding 3 showcases in a row, by the way. I just drained my phone's battery. So I just wanted to explain all that because that's basically all of what makes him work. And he gets all of it just by pressing the LD. So that's why you want to open with it. Now, let's actually do some stuff. So let's do a heal with Luna Freya. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw heavy buff. So let's go ahead and do heavy prayer on Basch. Okay. And then we'll just do, we'll just do this. And then I'm just going to let the enemies attack here. I could use Rem to like get Basch's turn up, but I want to let Ultimisia attack. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to HP attack. All right, watch what happens here. She's going to try to AoE HP damage us. So let's see how Basch handles this. Ooh, see that poison there? That can be nasty, but we're okay. All right, so let's go ahead and just HP attack. Oh, shoot, I didn't. Okay, yep, that's fine. Oh, no, he confused. Okay, the confuse didn't actually go. Okay, and I don't think confuse would stop it. All right, watch what happens here. Okay. Oh, okay, do it. Do it. HP damage. Seriously, now you're not going to HP damage all... Okay. So there she did single target. Now you see that was like 16k. And then it only did like 6,000 because of the... Look at that, only 700 damage. So Basch just soaked it up. And then he like HP regen like immediately, right? So when he took that first attack, that was an AoE. And he just soaked it into himself for just like 6k damage and just completely neutralized it, right? So... that was the attack that literally wiped my party turn 1. And that exact same situation now, we're like full health and we're like good to go. So Basch just makes your party feel really safe with that. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of his kit. But he has everything, like that's pretty much it right there, right? All in the LD. So maintain Indomitable. So his AA is just a straight HP heal to himself if you need a spot heal. And then does some buffs. Then... let's go ahead and do the 15. So here's the 15 attack, Fulminating Darkness. So this is going to be an AoE split HP attack. It does give him critical damage up. And then this gives him Kingdom Shield and HP damage resist. So he basically gets 2/3 of the kit. So that alone is pretty good. But getting the LD on top of it is nice. But at least maintain the Kingdom Shield is probably more important, because that's what's going to give you like the HP resist down. It gives you the last stand, and it makes it so it redirects the party HP. So Kingdom Shield is very important. It's just if you have Indomitable on top of it, you're pretty much unkillable. And then that also locks the enemies onto Basch. So you can see the enemies now are both targeting Basch. We can go ahead and swap back into Basch again. We can do his 35 just so you guys can see it. Okay, so let's do a 35 again. And then we got to get the EX up, don't we? So the 35 here is just a Brave HP attack. Single target. Yep. I mean, he's doing good damage. I'm liking Basch. I might want to force enhance him up and actually use him more. Because I do, like, tanks are useful, man. Now, he's not a counter tank, which is a huge detriment, but he's a good safety tank. He's like Warrior of Light that way, right? So that Ruin Independent we just did also batteried the party. It did an HP heal to himself. Gave him critical damage up again. Gives him a Knight Aptitude buff, which just gives him attack and max brave. So that is a unique buff. Let's go and swap back into him again. Let's get his EX off. And then that's basically it, right? So we'll just kind of summarize after that. So let's do the EX here. So this one here is going to be a Brave HP attack, as most attacks are. It is going to give another heal on it. Pretty decent damage there. Okay, and then we can watch Basch just tank here. Look at that, tanking that, barely took damage. Look at his HP, by the way. This is with the 3... I didn't even point this out. Rem's got 16k HP, and she's a fully built character. And our boy Basch has almost 40k HP. So I love my tanky boys to be tanky. So that's why I like Attack 108 C50 for me personally, right? Now, he does get a buff from the EX called Dalmasca's Valiant. And what this buff does, it is a party attack up, which is good. Party max brave up, and brave and HP damage up. So very good support packed into that as well, right? Let's go ahead and let's just HP attack here. I want to let Ultimisia take another swing at us here, just so we can watch Basch kind of go to town again. We can do a cure here too, just to like top us off. Okay, and then let's let Ultimisia go to town here. So Basch can be very useful in this current fight, right? Alright, so let's watch. We'll just kind of end with Basch tanking here. But basically, to summarize, Basch is very easy to play. Just upkeep his buffs. That's all you have to do. And you just use his 15 and 35 as filler. Look at him. He just absorbed all that HP damage. He actually got missed there. And then straight up HP attack. Like, would have been mostly lethal, but he's just tanking it all. And then you see he's capped there at 50% HP. Like, she tried dipping him below that, but he couldn't go below that because of his buffs. He's basically invincible. Now his turn pops up. He gives himself a little spot heal, and he just keeps you so healthy and good. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Basch. He's actually a very, very good character. Hope this guide helps you all out. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.